Hello and welcome back to the Cars.co.za YouTube channel. My name is Chira de Siena and I have lost my voice. I had this weird cold and my girlfriend as well had the same thing, and now we've both lost our voices, so I sound like if Batman got streptococcitis or whatever it's called, groccolitis. So please bear with me. I'm very sorry about this. And if you don't watch any more of this review, yeah, it's pretty simple. The new BYD Sealion 6 is awesome. It's really good. It's a really impressive car. And before we roll the theme song, remember, the Cars.co.za is so much more than a YouTube channel and a social media platform. We have over 74,000 cars for you to choose from on our site, and we've got really easy ways for you to contact the dealers and the private sellers. You just use WhatsApp or give them a call or put through a lead. Super simple. Right, roll the theme tune.
Cars.co.za, Cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you.
Right, I hope South Africans are ready for another Chinese brand onslaught. This is going to be quite a big market penetration. So what's happening is BYD, which is now one of the largest car makers in the world, largest maker of new energy vehicles in the world, largest maker of battery electric vehicles, PHEVs and HEVs in China, overtook Tesla in Europe recently. They are pretty much unstoppable as a company. And they are going to be rolling out over the next 18 to 24 months, 14 products in our market. 14. The Shark's already out, Sealion 5 HEV is out, this is the Sealion 6. Now, if I'm honest, I can't keep up with their naming convention or nomenclature, as motoring journalists used to like to say, back in the days when they still were printing out the internet. And a nomenclature just means a naming system. So, the naming system they've decided to go with is aquarium animals, ocean fauna. Good word, that, fauna. Takes me back to matric biology. And what we've got coming is what will be the most affordable electric car in South Africa, called the Dolphin. Then there's a seagull, sea lion. There's an otter. I don't know, there's no otter, I just made that up now. Anyway, Sealion 6, that's what we're talking about today. Plug-in electric vehicle. The big difference, obviously, BEV, battery electric vehicle, fully electric. PHEV, plug-in electric vehicle. And then HEV, which is like a Toyota Prius, for instance, or Toyota Corolla Cross, or a Lexus, something like that. Been around for a long time, funnily enough, about 30 years. And that is a self-charging hybrid with a much smaller battery. So the benefits of PHEV for me are multitude. However, there are some pros and cons. They tend to be more expensive. But the Chinese companies being what they are, and the speed at which they can develop and the price at which they can build things, you now have what is South Africa's most affordable plug-in electric hybrid vehicle, the Sealion 6, at 300, that's completely wrong, at 639,000 Rand, which undercuts the competition quite significantly. The next most affordable one is the Haval at 699 for the GT, hey? Yes, 699 or 799? 749. Okay, we'll put that on the screen. Sorry, there's a lot of numbers. You're gonna have to bear with me here. Right, let's start at the beginning here, because there are a lot of acronyms, a lot of numbers, and I'm going to do my best to take you through this in such a way that you're not going to die of boredom or just get like number fatigue, right? Which is a real thing. You don't want to click on our videos and then have to like write everything out in a spreadsheet. I mean, I'm allergic to spreadsheets anyway. So, BYD, build your dreams. Now, here is a really cool story about BYD, because the man who founded it is still there. That was founded in 1994, so it's as old as our democracy, which is really interesting. But they, of course, just got to South Africa. And build your dreams came way after, many years after this gentleman started the company. I'll put a picture of him on the screen and his real name, his full name. So what happened was, he wanted a company that was as high up the alphabet as possible with 3 letters. So he started with AAA. And there's so many companies making cars in China that the first highest lettering up the alphabet that he could get was BYD. And he just registered it, and that was that, and he bought the domain. And he registered the car brand as a brand. And then someone said to him a few years later, what does BYD mean? And he said, I don't know, I just wanted 3 letters and those were the highest I could get up the alphabet. So someone said to him, how about build your dreams? And he's like, yeah, that'll do. So that's how the company got its name. It's a really cool story. Now, we get a lot of questions here at Cars.co.za about new energy vehicles. So let me quickly explain a bunch of the acronyms. Maybe we'll put them on screen for you. ICE, internal combustion engine. Normal car, how cars have been for centuries or over a century. Now you've got new energy vehicles, NEV. The 2 acronyms you need to know are, and I'm going to introduce you to a 3rd acronym, which is quite exciting. So stick around for like a minute's time. HEV, hybrid electric vehicle. BEV, battery electric vehicle, fully electric. Hybrid electric vehicle means self-charging. Very small battery, basically the system invented by Toyota for the Prius, which actually came out 30 years ago. So Toyota Corolla Cross, some Lexuses, that sort of thing. Now, you do get an HEV Sealion 6. It's named after another ocean animal. I can't think which one it is. What's the 7? What's the 5? Anyway, doesn't matter. PHEV means plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. And then we're going to get to our new acronym V2L. But let's say on PHEV for now. Basically, you've got a bigger battery here and the car will run up to highway speeds on electricity alone. In a HEV, the petrol engine and the battery and the small motor work together. PHEV, you've got a bigger motor, sometimes 2, and a petrol engine. The petrol engine can charge the battery, but then you're using petrol. However, if you have a charger at home, like we do in our office, thanks to Grid Cars, a 22 AC, which you can install in your home if you have 3-phase power, means that it will charge this 18 kilowatt hour battery completely full in under an hour. And that means that you can do up to 80 Ks of range. Let's say your commute to work and back is 40 to 50 Ks, or down to the school run or to the shops, whatever the case is, without using a drop of petrol. And now here's where it becomes a bit of a party. Now, this is not a new thing. The 2nd gen Nissan Leaf, which I drove a long time ago, it never came to South Africa, unfortunately, had something called V2L. V2L means vehicle to load. And if you have a special charger at home that allows current to go in and out during load shedding or a power cut, you can run your house on your car's battery. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So here we go. Sealion 5 is an HEV. Sealion 6, the one I'm driving right now, is, in my opinion, a very good looking PHEV. Now, PHEVs, very simply, have much bigger batteries and you can drive them in full electric mode up to highway speeds, up to say 480 kilometers in the tested range, which is in the H6 GT that we just reviewed as well on the channel. That's got the biggest battery of any PHEV in South Africa, 35 kilowatt hours, which refers to the battery's not only physical size, but refers to its capacity more accurately. In here, 18 kilowatt hour battery. Now, for this price, this is now the most affordable PHEV in South Africa. You can get into one of these for 639,000. We'll put a table on the screen of the pricing against the other cars. And where the Chinese are amazingly strong is they've integrated all their battery businesses into their company. So for instance, the blade battery in here, which is actually a structural part of the car and makes the car a lot stronger, is built inside the BYD company. So they don't have to go buy it somewhere else. And that's one of the reasons why it's so affordable, or they can get it down to such a good price. Because if you buy a base spec X3 PHEV, which is an amazing car, you get a 12 kilowatt hour battery. Here, you're doing up to 100 quite easily. In the H6 GT, you're doing up to 180, depending, of course, on conditions and temperature and how you drive. So, in this car, let's just say your commute on a daily basis, let's say home, work, school, shops is less than, say, 180 Ks in the real world. You won't use a drop of petrol doing that. And the more you charge, and if you charge at home overnight, you'll continuously not use any petrol. And even though this car has a claimed range on one charge and one tank of fuel at 1,092 kilometers, that's on one tank of fuel and one charge, right? And as much as Eskom is trying to, let's say, get hold of more of our money, electricity is still cheaper than petrol. Think about it this way. You can't make petrol at home, but you can make electricity. And many more people right now have solar installations at home, and as things get cheaper, you'll upgrade your solar, then you can start charging your electric car or your PHEV off the sun, and then you're not using petrol and you're not paying for electricity. I mean, is that not the most amazing way of running a commuter vehicle? So the benefits to PHEV were always there. There's been Volvo PHEVs on the market for a long time, for instance. And however, now the Chinese brands have made it affordable. This car is way cheaper than, say, a Volkswagen Tiguan with a 1.4 liter engine. It's way cheaper than, say, a Hyundai Tucson. It really is remarkable what the Chinese brands have managed to do with what is very complex and expensive technology and make it available to a much wider audience at a lower price point. So one of the cons of PHEVs is the drivetrain is very complicated, it's difficult and expensive to repair. And that concerns me when it comes to used car values, because I think outside of warranty periods, these are not going to have much value. Now, the BYDs are not coming to South Africa with the greatest warranty. You get 7-year, 200,000 on, say, the MGs and the Havals and the GWMs. But what the BYD does have is a very good maintenance plan, which matches what the Germans have been offering for a long time. So 5-year, 100,000 vehicle warranty, 8-year, 150,000 battery warranty. So generally the first owner will not have to worry about the battery, maybe even the second owner. But here's the important one, very good maintenance plan at 5-year, 100,000. It will cover any fault repairs, any faulty parts, any defects, and it covers all wear and tear items. That's the difference between a maintenance plan and a service plan. Service intervals are 20,000 and it needs a first check at 5,000. So that's one of the downsides, is that potentially second-hand values of PHEVs once out of warranty are not going to be great given the price and complexity of the drivetrain. So let's talk about the power and torque here. And one of the benefits again of PHEVs is you get a lot of power and a lot of torque for very little fuel consumption. So let's start with fuel consumption. Now, it's very difficult to give accurate fuel consumption for a PHEV when it's on a tested cycle compared to when it's in the real world, because a lot of it depends obviously on driving style, but it depends on how much you've topped up the battery. If you top up the battery every night or every day at work, then your fuel consumption is precisely zero unless you tell it to run in PHEV mode. But because you can run in EV mode, your fuel consumption becomes 0.0 liters to the 100 if you keep the battery topped up. So between that 0.0 and, say, absolutely flat foot using all the car's power and etc., there is quite a bit of a spectrum there when it comes to fuel consumption. So we've been averaging 5.2 liters to the 100. And I mean, that is significantly better than you'd get in a petrol car of this size. I mean, it's like half to a third maybe of what you'd get. This is a big car. It's about the size of an H6. It's a little bit bigger than a Volkswagen Tiguan or Kia Sportage, a little smaller than a Cherry Tiggo 8 Pro. Another place where PHEVs are great and where they beat HEVs, self-charging hybrids, is on the highway. HEVs are not great on the open road. In fact, HEVs are very much designed for slow moving, sort of crawling traffic, low speed. That's when you get the benefit of an HEV. You go on the highway, your fuel consumption doubles basically, because you've got a weak petrol engine which is now under load and it's using lots of fuel. PHEV, because you've got this big battery, big motor, and a decent sized petrol engine, which in this case a 1.5 turbocharged 4-cylinder, you get amazing consumption no matter whether you're on the open road or you are in town driving. An urban mix, we're getting highway and town driving, real world 5.2. I mean, it's just like every direction you look in when you consider PHEV, it's just better at everything. No range anxiety, brilliant on the open road, super powerful. I mean, that H6 GT has over 320 kilowatts, over 760 newton meters, 0 to 104.9 seconds, absolute rocket. This car, the front wheel drive version which we're driving, so there's two specs, comfort at 639, the dynamic at 689, which is basically the same car just with lots of different extra features. Then the all-wheel drive premium at 789 is the most powerful. Here you've got 160 kilowatts, 300 newtons. Now I just mentioned the H6 GT's power figures, and that's like double, right? It actually is pretty much double. So this car, you would think feels slow and a bit sluggish, but it isn't. It's got, in my opinion, just the right amount of power for its weight, and you've got sports mode and that sort of thing. So if you put your foot down to overtake, you need to overtake a truck on the highway. In my opinion, there's enough there. Right, welcome to the interior. This is the part where I tell you about the interior of the Sealion 6. I've been waiting to play with this feature ever since I saw it come out. I don't know why that makes me so excited. 15.6 inch screen, absolutely massive. As you can see, it rotates. So prefer portrait or prefer landscape. And the reason they do this is so that when you watch TikToks, it's better framed. It's not, I literally just made that up now. It looks really big, but the design and the way that they've configured the graphics is really, really easy to use. So you've got all these really, really big buttons on the screen, and even though touchscreens I find a bit distracting, this one really does work in terms of the software and the presentation of your buttons. And compared to the Havals you kind of have to like stab the touchscreen to get it to work. This one is just beautifully sensitive. Look at that. You just like you just tap it. I mean, it works really, really nicely. 12.3 inch display in front of you. You don't get a heads-up display in this one. You do get it in the premium. But overall, the interior, besides the really cool rotating screen, I'm going to stop doing that now, is extremely impressive. I got inside it for the first time the other day when it arrived at the office. I sat inside and I was like, probably the best interior of any Chinese car. Now, it's not just the best interior of a Chinese car, it's one of the best interiors on the market. A lot of the legacy brands have had to cut costs, and it really does show in some of the interiors, which we've pointed out in some previous videos. But it just feels like in here, there's no corners cut, which blows my mind because this is the cheapest, most affordable PHEV in South Africa. Now, let me take you over a couple of cool features. There's an NFC reader over here, which I've never seen before. You can turn on the ignition like that, so you get the app on your phone. You also tap your phone when you're outside the car to unlock it on the wing mirror, and it unlocks as well. Then a really nice feature, which I haven't seen before, 2 wireless charging pads. Then you get this beautiful crystal Wilson's toffee gear knob. I don't mind it in here because this is not a sports car. You get a little bit of piano black, which I like, because when piano black's all up here, you get fingerprints, so this is not too much to keep clean. That's not too bad. In here, huge center bin. Look at that. You've got a whole suite of safety systems, active and passive. Car will steer itself, it'll crawl in traffic, it'll steer itself between the lines on the highway. Obviously, you have to keep your hands on the wheel, that's a legal requirement. Then you've got 7 airbags in here, DSC, ESC, you've got electric brake force distribution. There's just so much happening in here. Now, in the comfort version, a couple of the little niceties on here, like, you know, you don't get 2 charging bays, for instance, but it's really, really okay at 639,000 for it to be missing a few features. In this, the dynamic and then the premium, you pretty much get everything you see here. And because it's a Chinese car, everything pretty much comes in at one price. I am so comfortable right now. Best backseat ever. Best backseat ever. I've been doing this for a long time. I've tested a lot of backseats. This is the most comfortable backseat I've ever been in. Okay, not like a Rolls Royce or something, obviously, or a Bentley, but I mean in a 600 to 700,000 rand SUV, untouchable. Really untouchable. Beautiful design on the back of the chairs. It's got that. Sean, have you heard of a plush bed? Do you know what a plush bed is? So in the bed world, you get like firm, back-breaking, medium, soft, then you get plush. Now the plush has a special plush top, which some people really like, but it is very like, you know, it's like squidgy almost. And this is like the best combination of plush and soft and firm. And it is extremely comfortable. And one of the reasons why it is extremely comfortable is because you can adjust the angle of your backrest. So if you prefer to be a bit more upright, or you want to relounge a bit, relounge, new word, love it. God, this is so good. Okay, couple of key features back here. You've got a Type A and Type C USB port, which you also have in the front. I feel like a combination of USB ports is the best thing right now as we go through this transitionary phase. 2 drinks holders in here. You've got your third safety belt, which is really cool. ISOFIX child seat mounts. Panoramic roof comes all the way back to here, which makes the cabin feel even more spacious at the back. But look at the legroom, look at the headroom. It is honestly one of the best places you could spend some time. Road trips in this for adults or kids are going to be amazing. Right, this is a family car. Boot space is important. It's a commuter car. It might be the car you do long road trips with, and because it's a PHEV, it's an amazing solution for short trips and long trips, because if you can't find a charger on the open road, then you just put petrol in. That's the beauty of PHEVs, right? Now, quite an interesting little quirk that I found is for the release button, it says trunk open. They don't sell cars in America yet, as far as me and Sean know, stand to be corrected, but trunk, the word trunk's only used in the States, so that's quite interesting. They're obviously planning their invasion over there. Oh, who left a budget branded cooler box in here? Because we love you, we've organized 10% off all your budget premiums. Go get a comparative quote, click the link somewhere on the screen or in the description below. Give them a call. Well, they'll call you back rather. You get 10% of your premiums just for being a Cars.co.za audience member and supporting us in our work. So thanks, Budget, for doing that for our Cars.co.za audience. Right, now what we're seeing with hybrid electric vehicles, and especially plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, is that the boot floor is very shallow. It's not a particularly wide boot. It's not a particularly deep boot. With the H6s, we just filmed the HEV and the PHEV, you couldn't actually get the parcel shelf over it while the cooler box was there. You had to actually stretch it over. Now, it's important to realize that in South Africa, if you've got business insurance or goods insurance, your parcel shelf has to be in place. Otherwise, your insurance does not kick in if something is stolen out of the car. So remember that, it is quite important information. Now, one of the things that affects hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles is, and plug-in hybrids, is there's no space for a spare. There's just too much going on between here and the ground. So you get a tire compressor and you get tire welds. Now, this is not a rare thing. Even cars like E46 M3s, those sorts of things, came with a compressor and you got some tire weld as well. But if you're going on a road trip, very important to familiarize yourself with the system. Or if you get a puncture and you really do need some help, Budget Insurance will of course send you, depending on your policy, a flatbed for free. So just remember that to stay safe out there. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, at least one of the upsides of this, having this kit, so you don't have to get the tire off and on the car, which can be really, really challenging. So let's look at the boot space, 425 liters. It is quite deep that way though, which is cool. I mean, you've got probably, actually, you know what, Sean, kind of becomes almost a 6 cooler box boot space. Not bad. One of the omissions from the boot, which I think they really could have sorted out, maybe they'll do it for the facelift, is a remote seat release. So if you want to fold those seats flat, get more space, you have to go around to the side of the car, pull the tab over here, then to this side. Don't turn your back to camera, that's a film rule. Pull this, and then you get a flat boot space. I didn't research how big it is with the seats down, so we'll put that on the screen, but it's 425 liters with the seats up. So I've now driven JQ J7, which we got a pre-launch exclusive on. I've driven H6 GT PHEV, new H6 facelift HEV, and for me the best car in terms of ride quality, cabin noise, NVH levels, noise, vibration and harshness was the JQ. However, it really is phenomenal. You do not know when the JQ's petrol engine is on. It just feels like an EV all the time. But then you've got the backup of a petrol engine and a petrol tank. Amazing job what they've done with that JQ J7. It's coming out shortly in South Africa. We do have pricing on the site, which we'll put on the screen for you now. Then the H6 GT PHEV, which we just filmed and drove recently, also in a pre-launch exclusive. Thanks very much to all those companies concerned for working with us. But that car is the first Chinese sports car I've ever driven. Literally, absolutely blows the, say, Golf 7R, Audi S3s, that sort of thing, into the weeds. I mean, just a proper sports SUV. 321 kilowatts, 760 odd Newton meters, and it can go around corners. That thing is an absolute hoot, and it's about as efficient as this, and it has double the battery size. For roughly the same price, well, this is a bit cheaper, for a bit more money, that H6 GT PHEV is phenomenal. So this BYD is coming into this market with very stiff competition. The Chinese brands always had this philosophy that they were going to start ICE and then moving South Africans sort of onto new energy vehicles, HEVs and PHEVs. It's been their plan from the beginning. This is what we were told from the beginning. And now it is actually happening. So right now for me, in terms of a driving experience, everything you want out of a car, the J Coupe probably is the best. But I mean, it's by like 1%. If the J Coupe is a 95 out of 100, this is like a 94, and the A6 GT is probably like a 93 in terms of its ride quality and what it offers you as a luxurious premium experience. And when I say a premium experience, I'm talking you can compare this car and those other Chinese cars to any legacy car maker you like, and almost certainly beats it in many, many respects, or at least on par. The BMW X3 is a fantastic car, the PHEV version, but you're still looking at a battery size half that of the H6 GT and the same size as this, and you're paying a base price of 1.3 million before options. So the X3, as good as it is, and if you take into account the depreciation on that car, which depreciation on PHEVs is going to be tough. I can see it coming. EVs is already bad. PHEVs, the depreciation won't be as bad, but it's going to be bad. Just take that into account. Worse than ICE cars, definitely. So the X3, as good as it is, at almost twice the price of one of these, actually more than twice the price of one of these, for a smaller battery or same size battery in a PHEV, which is a critical element of the drivetrain and how usable it is as a PHEV, unfortunately it just can't compete. And that is really a story we're seeing across the board. But now that the Chinese are bringing new energy vehicles to South Africa, the difference in price and the difference in capability and the difference in range is going to be that much more pronounced, because the Chinese are just so much better at, not better necessarily making a quality experience and a road holding car or a handling car, a sports car. They're not necessarily better at that, but they're better at making the tech affordable, and they're better at making the tech full stop. So my pick of the three would be this, and the only reason I wouldn't pick the J Coupe is because it's quite a bit smaller than this. This is a really nicely sized car, very similar to the H6. And one of the reasons why it's my pick is because it doesn't bong the whole time. Chinese cars just bong at you the entire time. This car hasn't bonged at me once. I haven't had to shout at it once. I'm so happy, Sean. We finally found a Chinese car that doesn't bong. It's not full of bongs, like a bloody head shop in Amsterdam. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Love you guys. Bye. Be safe. Like and subscribe.
Hello, now I have been asked to tell you about Cars.co.za because I work here. Now on the site right now, you will find 72,000 cars to choose from, which is quite a lot. And yes, most of them are used cars. However, a significant number, many of them, an exact number of which I don't know and head office didn't tell me, but a lot of them are brand new cars and demos. So whether you are looking for a used car, a new car, or a demo, you'll find what you're looking for on Cars.co.za. Check out our mobile site, our desktop site, and our fantastic free app in whichever app store you use.
Let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za.